Hello guys, welcome to my channel. Welcome. I'm so excited. I'm so happy to be here. Too much energy. Yeah. I'm so very happy to be here. I miss you guys, and yeah, I really miss you so much. So we are going to today we are going to talk about very important things and we are going to have fun for a few minutes here together. How have you been? I hope you guys are doing great, and I hope you guys are having fun, especially that winter is over and now we have some kind of a little warm weather, a little bit, not too warm yet. It's still cold, especially here in New Hampshire, but it's much better than it was few months ago. So it's so good to get some sun a little bit outside and to change a little, you know, um, the uh, the closet, clothes and everything. So anyway, um, today we are going to talk about another. We're gonna talk about the topic that I started. I think if you went on my channel, on my YouTube channel, I started the topic about the rape or sexual violence against women or sexual assault against women, and I made a title of saying I'm creating another, like, a movement that I named hashtag see my brain, not my V. Hashtag see my brain, not my V, which is also the movement, that related to hashtag Me Too movement. And because of what happened to me, that's why I'm creating that hashtag see my brain, not my V. And my V is stand for a woman part. You can figure it out. All right, because I don't know what can be acceptable to say on YouTube, but it's about the V describe my private part. So I want people to see a woman brain, not a private part. That's what I meant by creating hashtag see my brain, not my V. See my brain, not my V, which it's a movement that I'm trying to start related to Me Too movement. Okay, I as I said, I am somebody else's child. I was born by a father and a mother, because no child just fall from the tree. We are all here on earth because we had parents who brought us here. And I too have parents who brought me to this world. And my heart has been really like bleeding inside of me to see what is going on in the world. Women is still really victim of rape, sexual assault all the time, such as myself, what I went through when I was a kid, as a teenager. So when are we gonna stop this in this world? Only if we speak up and we say, women say, enough is enough, we can't take it anymore. And the pain that comes with the experience of sexual assault, it never ends. It's a pain that goes on forever. Victims, they don't forget, they try their best to get help, but that pain live on forever with the victim. And that's what I want men to understand. That's what I want people to understand. Women, we deal with this pain, or even men who were victim of sexual abuse, the pain live on forever. So please, let's make this earth safe for all of us. Sexual assault, it's something that doesn't have any place in society. We have to live in peace, and each child must be safe anywhere. It doesn't matter where the child is. If grown up can just really make up their mind and say that we're gonna keep children safe, that would be really a big thing to do. But to live in this world, the girls or even boys, we are not safe in some families. Kids are raped there or molested. We are not safe at church. Kids, girls or women are sexually abused at church. We are not safe at the workplace. Women, we are not safe at workplace. We are sexually abused at workplace. We are not safe on the streets. We are not safe anywhere. If this is really the world we have to live in forever, we have power to change. We have a power to change, and we can do it. That's how I decided to talk about my story. And I think I said again before about it. But I'm gonna talk chapter to chapter to you guys, and you can look for this book and read it for yourself, you know, because I am somebody else's child. I am somebody else's child. And as someone, I am a Christian, Pentecostal Protestant. And I started going to church when I was just 18. When I was probably 8 or 7. That's when I started singing in choir, in children choir, at one of the big church in Bukavu, because I was born in Congo. And this church is very, very big church in Bukavu. They are Pentecostal. The church called SAYUNI. It is in this book. This book. The name for the church is written in this book. So if you want to know all the details about Sayuni, get this book on Amazon.com or BarnesandNoble.com, and you can read it for yourself. This is my story, and this story, it's not an easy story, but we're gonna start on the church story, or the church part, because what happened to me still going on in church today, and I'm sick and tired hearing girls are raped at church by pastors or those so-called prophets. It's so painful to hear this over and over and over, but we're gonna fight back, and this must stop. And we are asking for politician leaders to help us to get justice, because this is very painful for us. It's very, very painful. Myself, I'm still going through really treatment for years and years now, because sexual abuse doesn't disappear. The memory lives on forever. So we are asking for politicians to step in and help us to get justice, to step in and help us make the environment safe, the church place. We're gonna start from the church, to make a church safe for people who want to go to church, for parents who want to send their children to church, for young people, for young children who want to sing in church, who want to do many activities in church. We must be safe in church. The church is the last place I used to think that I'm not gonna be safe. But in my big surprise, that's where my first sexual abuse started. A church by the pastor I trusted, who was the leader of the choir I was singing in. That was the first person who sexually abused me, who molested me. He made me do things that I never thought I would do at that age as a teen. He made me touch a man, a grown-up man. He had kids of my age. He was a father of several children. He had a wife. He was a pastor, well respected in SAYUNI-CHURCH in Bukavu. But this pastor had a secret life. He was after other parents' children, and also wife of other men. So for years, my first encounter with him, I was taken from the children choir, and I was moved to grown-up choir because I love to sing and my voice was so beautiful. I was singing solo in children choir, so they needed my voice in grown-up choir, which the choir that called choir A or choir A in English. In Swahili, they called it choir A because we had choir A and choir B, which means choir A and choir B. And there was also like a children choir or youth choir. So I was in choir A, and there was another choir B, which was for youth. Choir A was more mixed, like young people, parents, old people, they were in that choir. And there was another choir for women, just like I can say like old women. So there was that choir also at Sayuni, and we used to sing, all of us, on Sunday, and in the service during the week, like a Thursday we had a service on Thursday, and Monday, Saturday it was a practice days. So I was a member of that church for almost my entire life. That the congregation I started in when I became a Christian at age 7 or 8. That's when I started singing in choir. I started in children choir at the branch called UAMINIFU. That's the branch I started to sing in. Was for children choir first. The branch called UAMINIFU at Buolo Premier or Buolo the First. So, but over there in children choir, I didn't experience any sexual abuse. When I went to grown-up choir, I started singing there, and I started practicing more with the pastor MUSAFIRI. That was his name. Pastor MUSAFIRI was his name, the one who molested me, and his name is in this book. That was the first time I experienced the sexual abuse. He started molesting me little by little, and I went in details about him in here. You can start that from page 56 or 57 to page 92, 93, because at that time now I was in college. Imagine, the abuse started when I was 18, when I was just a teenager, until I was in college, and it ended because I went to another country. That's why. He couldn't get in touch with me anymore. He couldn't get close to me anymore. I was now, I went to Rwanda to live there for a few years after I couldn't continue in college anymore because of financial situation that wasn't possible for me. I stopped school after being in college for 1 year and a half. My sister was paying school for me, said that she couldn't do it anymore, so I stopped going to school, and I was in college, and that was very painful for me to stop school because I loved school so much, and I was determined to get education so I could have a bright future. And I didn't want to be uneducated like my mother. She didn't know how to read nor to write her name. When I learned about my mother's, life, I decided, and in early age on, I'm gonna get education before anything else in my life. So it wasn't that easy because we were so many children left behind. And again, let me give a little bit background of myself. I lost my parents when I was just a toddler. I didn't know my parents. And until to this day, I still can't remember my father or my mother's faces. So I can't remember their faces because they died when I was very little. My father was a very successful businessman, and he died in car accident on a business trip. My mother was just a staying home mom, and she wasn't working. She was depending on her husband financially. And my dad had several women, so he was practicing polygamy. He had 5 wives and 22 children. I came to learn that my father had 22 children. So after his death, he had so many kids left behind, and we were all small. And then our mothers were taken away. That the culture, I'm not gonna go into that today. But my mom was sent away from to her family without her children, and we were left behind. So the person I was with when I started now growing up, I thought it was my mother. I came to learn that she was my sister, the one I called Zaza in this book. So Zaza was the first woman I ever known in my life, and I thought she was my mother, but she wasn't my mother, she was my sister. And I thought her husband was my father, but he was just my brother-in-law. So I came to learn that after. And so when I now started learning about my parents, I was just around 7, 8. That when I started learning about my parents. And that when I was told my parents were not around. That when I was told my father died and my mom was taken away from me. So my other siblings were, they are also around, so we were everywhere. They took other kids to other family members because one person was not gonna handle to take care of more than 15 small children. So they need to give the kids to other family members to try to take care of us. So anyway, the church today, the church then and today is still abusing children. I was abused in church, and until today the church is still abusing children sexually. I never say anything to anybody when this pastor Musafiri was doing those things to me. The first male sex I touched was him, and I never say a word to anybody because I was afraid. I didn't know who to talk to. Imagine I was orphan. I didn't have a parent. I didn't have a mother I could talk to. So he kept just doing these things to me each time we had a choir practice. He was asking me to stay again to do more practice, and that was the moment he was doing those things to me. He was or sometimes he was asking me to go to his house to do more practice, and that was the moment he was doing those things to me. Or sometimes we had a library at church. Sometimes if I went at church early, because we need to get there at certain time, and also sometimes he could tell me to go to church early and to practice before other people, get there. He was doing those things to me, asking me to touch him, um, to to you know to touch him, and to perform sexual things to him. And this was very, very traumatized to me. And I didn't know who to turn to. I didn't know who to tell, to ask a question, or to say anything to. So he had all control on me. I was just a kid. I was like his own child. I used to call him father. I used to call him father. I used to call him dad, because for me, I saw him, he was like a father figure to me. He spent more time with me to help me practicing, because he was the leader of music at church, and also the studio, because the church is a very big congregation, and we have a missionary the missionary were from Sweden. So yeah, our missionary came from Sweden and Norway. Sayuni, it's a very, very big congregation, and it's huge. We had several services at that, like when before I left the church had more than 2 services on Sunday. So that's how big that church, was, and is still. Because there is many people really want to go to that church. It's a very, very big congregation, and I was well known in church because I was singing solo, and my voice was loved and very admired by everybody in church and in entire town of Bukavu, or entire city of Bukavu. So I was very, very, I don't know if I can say famous, but I was well known in church. So, but I had pain that I couldn't talk to anybody. I had pain that I couldn't tell anyone. And that pain was the molestation I endured for years in hands of the person I called father, the pastor, the leader of the choir A, or choir A in Swahili. That pastor, Musafiri, was molesting me over and over and over. He's dead now, but he died after I went after him, and he was fired from his position, and I decided to go after him while I was here in America now. I was so depressed at that time. I couldn't believe what he has done to me. I just wanted to die all the time. I even took pills at one point. I wanted to die. I was so depressed. Looking back, what he did to me, I wanted to die. I wanted to kill myself all the time. I went through counseling, but it wasn't really enough. Imagine, I was feeling like I could smell his sperm sometimes, and until today I'm still experiencing that. I Sometimes I just smell his sperm, and sometimes I hear his voice, the way he used to talk to me, to tell me to perform a sexual act to him. Sometimes I still hearing that voice. So it's so painful, and it's so really traumatized, for a child to go through anything like that. So that's why I'm saying this. We need politicians to step in now to protect the children from sexual abuse in church. I'm gonna start with church today. We need a politician to step in and protect children from sexual abuse in church, because myself, until today, I'm still going through hell of depression because of what that pastor MUSAFIRI did to me. Years ago, I was a teenager. When he molested me for years, until I was in college. Until I was in college in Congo. That's when I escaped now from him, when I went to Rwanda to live with another sister who was a professor in one of high school there. But if I stayed maybe in Bukavu, I don't know what was gonna happen, if he was gonna continue to have access to me, because I didn't have anyone else to talk to report him. He was very powerful. He was just he was a big person in church, in the congregation. He was given responsibility of the entire studio where we used to do our record. So he was the head of that studio. He was trusted by the congregation, and he was very loved because he was very charming to our missionary, So they trusted him. They gave him a lot of a lot of responsibility. But this pastor MUSAFIRI, a father of children himself and a husband, he was very, very, very dangerous man to children and also to widows. When I went after him, now I was living here in America, there was a young girl who was pregnant in the choir in church, and that girl was pregnant with his child. So he never stopped. He never stopped going after other parents' children, even if he was a father himself. He never stopped. So if I didn't go after him, he will still doing those things today. And he wasn't gonna be fired from the church. But he was taken down after I reported him while I was now here in America. I was so depressed at that time. I was just feeling so dirty. I was feeling angry. at him and the system, I was just very on a bad place, and I decided I'm gonna confront him. I'm gonna confront him. Of course, the first time he denied it. He said, oh, when you come back here, we're gonna talk about it. I'm like, we are not gonna talk about it. I'm telling you right now, if you still doing what you was doing to me, to other girls right now, stop it. Stop it, because it's not okay to hurt somebody else's child. I am a child of another man. I had a father who brought me to this world, and you are like my father, but you did really dangerous or bad things to me. You destroyed my innocence. You destroyed my teen time. You destroyed my teen age, and this must stop. I didn't know how to be a teenager because you made me touch a grown-up man. You made me perform a sexual act to a grown-up man. So you took that away from me. You took the innocence that I had from me. I didn't know how to be a kid anymore. I didn't know how to be a child, a little girl, just being a little girl. You took it away from me. So that's what I'm talking about in here. And I want each one of you to try to read this book. It's not an easy book. I'm sorry, I'm getting so emotional. It's not an easy book, but try your best to read it. Get it on Amazon.com. It's called Tell This to My Mother. Tell This to My Mother. This is the book. And this book is also in French. It is also in French. Tu le diras à ma mère. So this is the English version and this is the French version. But you can find both on my website, ColetteGlobalGroup.com, ColetteGlobalGroup.com, or you go on Amazon.com and PrésenceAfricaine.com for French one. And I have also a children book that I just published. It's called Lily and the Gift Planet Earth. Lily and the Gift Planet Earth. You go on Amazon.com, you can find it. This one is for children and is about climate change. This children book is about climate change. We have to take care of our planet and save it for the next generation. So these are 3 books I'm here to talk about today. This one, Tell This to My Mother, because when I hear, the so-called prophet, they are asking girl to have an abortion. Where is the Christianity today? And still, where is the Christianity? Why these pastors think that they can just do whatever they want and they get away with it? Girls, speak up the way I did. I spoke. I went after that pastor and he got punished. I want girls to speak up. Don't be afraid. If a pastor or the so-called prophet ask you to do sexual things, in our religion, it says that we are not supposed to have a sex before marriage. And this pastor was telling me that, the pastor MUSAFIRI was telling me, he was teaching us never to touch a man or to have a sex before marriage. That the ideology or the teaching in Christianity, Pentecostal teaching. We cannot have a sex before marriage, and no one is allowed to have a sex outside of a marriage. But the same pastor was making me, touching him, kissing him, and performing oral sex to him. Oral sex. I knew about oral sex from him, not from another man, but from the pastor. He was the first man I performed oral sex to him. You know, Pastor MUSAFIRI was the first one. He was the one who was showing me, do this, oral sex. I perform it to him. Anything that is sexual, he was the first one. I touched a man's organ, was his organ. The first time I kissed a man was him. The first time I had oral sex was him. He was asking me to perform those things on him. So girls, talk to somebody. And if you want to talk, call me, reach out to me. I will help you to heal the way I'm still healing myself. I'm still in the process of healing. That's why I decided to write my book. I decided to write my story and try to fight back and try to tell other girls we can live in peace if we say something to somebody, and that person will help you. When I see what is going on everywhere, how can somebody be raped at church? When I watched that video of a girl who was raped in Hillsong Church, that's painful. You know, that's painful. I watched the video on YouTube that was done by 60 Minutes Australia. It's so painful to watch. How can someone, a believer, a church member, being raped at church by another, a church member, a leader in church? This must stop now. We can't take it anymore. We can't take it anymore. We are asking for politician leaders to help us to get justice and to stop this madness of sexual abuse at church. At church. This must stop. Girls are not lying. Girls are saying the truth. I was a victim of a pastor myself as a teen, and he was my pastor at church, the leader of my choir choir A. That's the pastor, MUSAFIRI, who molested me for years. So girls don't lie when they say they were molested or sexually abused, raped by the church leaders or another member in church. We are saying the truth, and now it's time for us to get justice. It's time for us to get help we deserve. Please get this book, read it for yourself, and you can understand my pain. Get the book. It is on Amazon.com, BarnesandNoble.com. You can read my story. The molestation started on page 56, 57. You can start from there and to try to understand my pain. Until today, I'm still going through a therapy about what happened to me when I was 18. So this is not a game. Stop hurting us, pastors, prophets, the so-called prophet. Stop hurting us, women. Stop hurting us, women in church. Stop it. We don't like it. We go to church because we want to serve a God, not to be raped, not to be molested, not to be sexually abused. So stop it. Now we don't like it. We are other men children. Like you are a father to your own children. Whatever you don't want another man to do to your children, don't do it to somebody else's kid. Whatever you don't like somebody else to hurt your children, don't do it to another man child. I am somebody else's child. I am somebody else's daughter. So stop what you are doing to girls in church right now. We want to be safe in church, not to be raped or to be molested. So get the book yourself and read it. Read my story. You can understand the pain you cause to us. When you rape us, when you molest us, this pain live with us forever. If you protect your children, so protect somebody else's kid. Stop it now. We want to be safe in church, not to be raped and molested all the time. Get the book on Amazon.com, on BarnesandNoble.com, PrésenceAfricaine.com, PrésenceAfricaine.com, Amazon.com, the children book, Amazon.com. Please get the book, read for yourself, educate yourself. Girls, educate yourself. And if you want to reach out to me, leave a comment, reach out to me. I will tell you how you can heal yourself. So leave a comment in the comment section and let me know if you need any help, because I've been through this and I'm still going through it. I'm still going through therapy. I'm still taking medicine. I'm still struggling with what happened to me years ago. So please, politician, step in and protect us now in church. Protect us in church against pastors and the so-called prophet. Protect us. Thank you.